Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my Goosebumps story time. I know it's been a very long time since I've done one of these. There have been some big life changes. I'm in a different setting. I've been kind of hopping around, moving, living in different places. But I finally have a little setup here. I don't know how long it's going to last before I'm moving again, but I think it's cute. Um, and yeah, I know it's been a very long time, but last time we were reading The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena, and the reason I had been reading this book was because it was the winter time. And the summer solstice was literally yesterday, so I know it's summertime, and Abominable Snowman was for winter, but we still have Pasadena. Got some palm trees in there and stuff like that, so we still got some summer vibes. So I'm gonna continue with it. I brought it with me. Brought some others as well up there. Yeah, so we'll continue with this. Couple things though. Some of you guys saw this on Twitter, if that's where you've come from to watch this today. I've been designing workout gear, final girl training, which is like training to be strong, to stay alive, make it till sunrise, not to shrink ourselves or anything like that. We want to be strong, take up space, and survive. So I have a few designs. Here's another one. These literally came in today. Check that out. Pretty cool, huh? And this one, retro TV there. Final girl training. I've got some other ones coming in as well that are a little bit different. But yeah, I'm gonna have some videos coming out on this channel as well where you basically get fitness training from a famous final girl. Like, for example, if Laurie Strode was your trainer, how would she train you to be strong, to be alert, to survive a killer? So that is something to look forward to, something that is coming on here as well. I've got a bunch of stuff. I have a kind of like Haunt Girl Walk podcast videos coming. What else? Short stories, behind the scenes. I've been working on a lot. Yeah, a bunch of short stories, video essays, ton of stuff coming. And of course, more of these Goosebumps readings. So, to bring it back, we left off at chapter 4, and I'm going to start off at chapter 4 again, and we'll see how far we get through. I'm just going to go like a few chapters at a time, maybe 4 or 5 like we did last time, but I hope you enjoy. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for being patient with me, and yeah. Let's get started with chapter 4 of The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. I squeezed my eyes shut. The rock landed on my forehead and bounced off. I opened my eyes. Kara laughed like a hyena. She picked up the rock and dropped it on my face again. It bounced off, just like the first time. Lauren grabbed it. "It's made of sponge," she announced. She squeezed it in her hand. "It's a fake." Kyle laughed. "It's a movie prop, you moron." "You should have seen your face," Kara added. "What a chicken." I kicked Kyle off me and pounced on him again. This time I was so mad I had the strength of 2 Kyles. I wrestled him to the ground. I had him pinned. "Hey, what's going on, guys?" Uh-oh. Dad. I leaped to my feet. "Hi, Dad. We were just kidding around." Kyle sat up, rubbing his elbow. Dad didn't even seem to notice that we'd been fighting. He was excited about something. "Listen, kids, I have great news. Wilderness Magazine, they just called, and they want to fly me to Alaska." "Great, Dad," I said sarcastically. "You get to go on another exciting trip while we stay here and die of boredom." "And heat," Nicole added. Dad laughed. "I called Mrs. Hitchens to see if she could come stay with you again," he began. "Not Mrs. Hitchens again," I cried. "Dad, she's horrible. I can't stand her cooking. I'll starve to death if she stays with us." You will not, Jordan, Nicole said. Even if you ate only bread and water, you could survive a week easily. Nicole? Jordan? Hello? Dad said, knocking lightly on our heads. Will you please listen to me? I haven't finished yet. Sorry, Dad. Anyway, Mrs. Hitchens can't come, so I guess you two will just have to come along with me. To Alaska? I cried. I was too excited to believe it. Hooray! Nicole yelled. We jumped up and down. You guys are so lucky, Lauren said. Kara and Kyle stood by, saying nothing. We're going to Alaska, I shouted. We'll get to see snow, tons of snow, Alaskan snow. I was thrilled, and Dad hadn't even told us the interesting part yet. It's a strange project, Dad continued. They want me to track down some kind of snow creature, an abominable snowman. Wow, I gasped. Kyle and Kara snorted. Nicole shook her head. An abominable snowman? Has anybody really seen him? Dad nodded. Some kind of snow creature has been spotted. Who knows what it really is? Whatever it is, the magazine wants me to shoot photos of it. I'm sure it's a wild goose chase. There's no such thing as an abominable snowman. So why are you going? Nicole asked. I poked her in the ribs. Who cares? We're going to Alaska. And the magazine is paying a big fee, Dad explained. Even if we don't find a snow creature, I'll still get some great shots of the tundra. Lauren asked, What's a tundra? Dad began to reply, but Nicole stepped forward. I'll handle this one, Dad, she interrupted. I felt like screaming. She does that in school all the time, too. A tundra is a huge frozen plain. It exists in the Arctic, in Alaska, and in Russia. The word tundra comes from the Russian, meaning, I clapped my hand over her big mouth. Any other questions, Lauren? Lauren shook her head. That's all I needed to know. Egghead here goes on forever if you don't stop her. I let go of Nicole's mouth. She stuck her tongue out at me. This trip is going to be great, I cried happily. We'll see ice and snow for real. We're going hunting for an abominable snowman. Awesome. An hour earlier, we'd been bored out of our minds, and now suddenly everything had changed. Dad smiled. I've got to go back to the dark room for a while, and don't forget, we're going out to dinner tonight. He wandered back across the lawn and into the house. As soon as Dad was gone, Kara started laughing. An abominable snowman? What a joke. Typical Kara. She was too chicken to say a word while Dad was around. Kyle made fun of me, jumping up and down squealing, Alaska, Alaska, I'll get to see snow. You both will probably turn blue and freeze, Kara sneered. We'll be fine, Nicole said. It's your turn to freeze. She grabbed Kara's super soaker and sent a spray of water into Kara's face. Stop it, Kyle shouted. He dove at Nicole. Nicole laughed and ran away, turning around to soak them every few feet. Give that back, Kara yelled. The Millers chased Nicole. Kyle raised his super soaker and let Nicole have it in the back. Lauren and I ran after them. Nicole raced into our backyard. She turned around and squirted the Millers again. You can't catch me, she cried, shooting and walking backward. She was backing right into Dad's compost heap. Should I warn her, I thought? No way. Take that, she shouted, blasting the Millers with water. Then she slipped and fell backward into the compost heap. Yuck, Lauren groaned. Nicole stood up slowly. Greenish-brown slime oozed in her hair and dripped down her back, her arms, and her legs. Ugh, she screamed, frantically wiping the glop off her hands. Ugh. We all stood and stared. She looked like some kind of abominable snowman herself, all covered in glop. We were still staring when Dad popped his head out the back door. You kids ready to go to dinner? He called. Chapter 5. There it is, Dad shouted over the roar of the small plane's engine. Iknek, that's the airstrip. I stared out the window at the tiny brown patch where we'd be landing. For the last half hour, I'd seen nothing but miles and miles of snow. Wow, it was so white. It was cool the way the snow sparkled in the sunlight. It made me think of Christmas carols. I couldn't get Winter Wonderland out of my head, and it was driving me crazy. I watched for giant footprints as we flew. How big would an abominable snowman's footsteps be? Big enough to see from a low-flying plane? I hope there's a restaurant down there, Nicole said. I'm starving. Dad patted her shoulder. We'll have a big, hot meal before we set out. But after that, it's camping food. How are we going to build a fire in the snow? Nicole asked. We'll be staying in a little cabin, Dad replied. It's a long way out in the tundra, but it's better than sleeping in tents. There should be a stove in the cabin. I hope so, anyway. Can we build an igloo and sleep in that? I asked. Or dig out an ice cave? You can't build an igloo just like that, Jordan, Nicole snapped. It's not like a snow fort or something, right, Dad? Dad took the lens cap off his camera and started taking pictures through the plane window. Sure, he said absently, Nicole turned to the window too. I mimicked her behind her back. You can't build an igloo just like that, I mouthed. She acts like she's my teacher or something. It's really embarrassing when she does it in front of everybody at school. How are we going to find the cabin? Nicole asked. Everything looks the same in all this snow. Dad turned and snapped a picture of her. Did you say something, Nicole? I was wondering how we're going to find the cabin, Nicole repeated. Do you know how to use a compass, Dad? A compass? No, but that doesn't matter. A man named Arthur Maxwell is supposed to meet us at the airport. He'll be our guide through the tundra. I know Arthur, the pilot shouted back to us. He's an old musher from way back, knows everything about the dogs and sleds. He knows this part of Alaska better than anybody, I guess. Maybe he's seen the abominable snowman, I suggested. How do you know there is such a thing? Nicole taunted. We haven't seen any sign of him yet. Nicole, people have seen him with their own eyes, I replied. And if there's no such thing, what are we doing here? Some people say they've seen him, Nicole said. Or maybe they think they've seen him. I won't believe it until I get more facts. The plane circled the small town. I played with the zipper on my new Arctic jacket. I'd been hungry a few minutes earlier, but now I was too excited to think about food. There really is an abominable snowman down there, I thought. I know there is. I felt a chill despite a blast of hot air from the plane's heater. What if we find him? What will happen then? What will happen if the abominable snowman doesn't like to be photographed? The plane flew very low now, getting ready to land. We touched down with a bump and taxied along the runway. The plane lurched as the pilot put on the brakes. Something big loomed at the end of the runway, something huge, white, and monstrous. Dad, look, I cried. I see him, the abominable snowman. Chapter 6. The plane squealed to a stop right in front of the big monster. Dad, Nicole, and the pilot all laughed. At me. I hate that, but I couldn't blame them. The big white monster was a polar bear, a statue of a polar bear. The polar bear is the symbol of the town, the pilot exclaimed. Oh, I murmured. I knew I was blushing. I turned away. Jordan knew that, Dad said. He was just playing one of his practical jokes. Yeah, I went along with it. I knew it was a statue all along. You did not, Jordan, Nicole said. You were really scared. I punched Nicole in the arm. I was not. It was a joke. Dad put an arm around each of us. Isn't it great the way these two kid each other, he said to the pilot. If you say so, the pilot replied. We hopped out of the plane. The pilot opened the cargo hold. Nicole and I grabbed our backpacks. Dad had brought a huge, airtight trunk for film, cameras, food, sleeping bags, and other supplies. The pilot helped him carry it off the airstrip. The trunk was so big, Dad could fit inside it. It reminded me of a red plastic coffin. Iknik Airport was like a tiny wooden house, just 2 rooms. 2 pilots in leather jackets sat at a table playing cards. A tall, brawny man with dark hair, a thick beard, and leathery skin stood up and crossed the room to greet us. His gray parka hung open over a flannel shirt and deerskin pants. This must be our guide, I realized. Mr. Blake, the man said to Dad. His voice was low and hoarse. I'm Arthur Maxwell. Need some help there? He grabbed one end of the trunk from the pilot. This is an awfully big trunk you brought, Arthur added. Do you really need all this stuff? Dad reddened. I've got a lot of cameras, tripods, and things. Well, maybe I overpacked. Arthur frowned at me and Nicole. I'd say so. Call me Gary, Dad said. These are my kids, Jordan and Nicole. He nodded toward us. Nicole said hi, and I added, nice to meet you. I can be polite when I have to be. Arthur stared at us. Then he grunted. You didn't mention kids, he mumbled to Dad after a minute. I'm sure I did, Dad protested. I don't remember it, Arthur replied, frowning. Everyone was silent. We pushed through the airport door and started down the muddy road. I'm hungry, I said. Let's go into town and get some food. How far is it to town, Arthur? Dad said. How far? Arthur echoed. You're looking at it. I stared around in surprise. There was only one road. It began at the airport and ended in a pile of snow about 2 blocks away. A few wooden buildings were sprinkled along it. This is it? I cried. It's not Pasadena, Arthur grumbled, but we call it home. He led us down the muddy road to a diner called Betty's. I guess you're hungry, he grumbled. Might as well eat a hot meal before we set out. We settled into a booth by a window. Nicole and I ordered hamburgers, French fries, and Cokes. Dad and Arthur ordered coffee and beef stew. I've got a sled and 4 dogs ready to go, Arthur announced. The dogs can pull this trunk of yours and the other supplies. We'll walk beside the sled. That sounds fine, Dad said. Whoa, I protested. We're walking? How far? 10 miles or so, Arthur replied. 10 miles? I'd never walked that far before. Why do we have to walk? Why can't we take a helicopter or something? Because I want to take photos along the way, Jordan, Dad explained. The landscape is fascinating. You never know what we'll come across. Maybe we'll come across the Abominable Snowman, I thought. That would be cool. Our food arrived. We all ate in silence. Arthur wouldn't look me in the eye. He wouldn't look any of us in the eye. He stared out the window while he ate. Outside on the street, a jeep drove by. Have you ever seen this snow creature we're looking for? Dad asked Arthur. Arthur speared a piece of meat with his fork and popped it into his mouth. He chewed. He chewed some more. Dad, Nicole, and I all watched him, waiting for his answer. Finally, he swallowed. Never seen it, he said. Heard about it, though. Lots of stories. I waited to hear one of the stories, but Arthur just kept on eating. I couldn't stand waiting any longer. What kind of stories? I asked. He swabbed at some gravy with his beard. He stuffed it into his mouth, chewed and swallowed. A couple of people in town, he said. They've seen the monster. Where? Dad asked. Out by the big snow ridge, Arthur said. Beyond the musher's cabin, where we're staying. What does he look like? I asked. They say he's big, Arthur said. Big and covered with brown fur. You might think he's a bear, but he's not. He walks on 2 feet like a man. I shuddered. The Abominable Snowman sounded a lot like a vicious cave monster. A vicious cave monster I saw in a horror movie once. Arthur shook his head. Personally, I hope we never find him. Dad's jaw dropped. But that's what we're here for. It's my job to find him. If he exists. He exists, all right, Arthur declared. Friend of mine, another musher. He was out in a blizzard one day, ran smack into the snow monster. What happened? I asked. You don't want to know. Arthur stuffed more bread into his mouth. We certainly do want to know, Dad persisted. Arthur stroked his beard. The monster picked up one of the dogs and made off with him. My friend chased after him, trying to get the dog back. Never found him. But he could hear the dog whining, pitiful howls. Whatever happened to that dog, it sounded pretty bad. He's probably a carnivore, Nicole said, a meat eater. Most animals around here are. There's so little vegetation. I jabbed Nicole. I want to hear about the snowman, not your stupid nature facts. Arthur flashed Nicole an annoyed glance. I figured he was thinking, what planet is she from? That's what I'm usually thinking anyway. He cleared his throat and continued. My friend came back to town. He and another guy went out to try and capture the snow monster. Darn foolish if you ask me. What happened to them, I asked. Don't know, Arthur said. They never came back. I gaped at the big guide. I swallowed hard. Excuse me? Did you say they never came back? Arthur nodded solemnly. They never came back. Chapter 7. Maybe they got lost in the tundra, Dad suggested. Doubt it, Arthur said. Those two knew what they were doing. The monster killed them. That's what happened. He paused to butter another slice of bread. Close your mouth, Jordan, Nicole said. I don't want to look at your chewed-up French fries. I guess my mouth had been hanging open. I shut it and swallowed. Arthur seems like a weird guy, I thought, but he's not lying to us. He definitely believes in the abominable snowman. Nicole asked him, has anyone else seen the snow monster? Yep, a couple of TV people from New York. They heard about what happened to my friend and came to town to investigate. They set out into the tundra. Never came back either. We found one of them, frozen to death in a block of ice. Who knows what became of the other? Then Mrs. Carter? She lives at the end of Main Street. She saw the snow monster a few days later, Arthur continued in a low voice. She was looking through her telescope and spied him out in the tundra. He was chewing on bones, she said. Don't believe me? Go ask her yourself. Dad made a noise. I glanced at him. He was trying to keep from laughing. But I didn't see what was so funny. This snow monster sounded pretty scary to me. Arthur glared at Dad. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to, Mr. Blake, he said. Call me Gary, Dad repeated. I'll call you what I please, Mr. Blake, Arthur said sharply. What I'm telling you is true. That monster is real, and he's a killer. You're taking a big risk chasing after him. No one has ever caught him, and anyone who goes out after him doesn't return. We'll take our chances, Dad said. I've heard stories like this before, in other parts of the world. Stories about monsters in the jungle or weird creatures in the ocean. So far, the stories have never turned out to be true. I have a feeling the abominable snowman will be no different. Part of me really wanted to see the snow creature, but part of me hoped Dad was right. I don't deserve to die, I thought, just because I want to see snow. Well, Dad said, wiping his mouth, let's get going. Everybody ready? I'm ready, Nicole piped up. Me too, I said. I couldn't wait to get out in the snow. Arthur said nothing. Dad paid the lunch check. We waited for change. Dad, I asked, what if the abominable snowman is real? What if we run into him? What will we do? He pulled something small and black out of his coat pocket. This is a radio transmitter, he explained. If we get into any kind of trouble out in the wilderness, I can radio the ranger station in town. They'll send a helicopter to rescue us. What kind of trouble, Dad? Nicole asked. I'm sure there won't be any trouble, Dad assured us. But it's good to be prepared for emergencies. Right, Arthur? Arthur smacked his lips and cleared his throat, but he didn't reply. I figured he was angry because Dad didn't believe his stories about the snow monster. Dad returned the radio transmitter to his coat pocket. He left a tip for the waitress. Then we spilled outside into the cold Alaskan air, ready to head out for the frozen tundra. Was an abominable snowman waiting for us somewhere out there? We would soon find out. I'm going to pause here on chapter 8 and we will pick up back here soon. I promise it's not going to be as long of a wait this time, maybe a week or so. But thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying listening to The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. I'm Avery, your friendly Ewitch, the Wicked Witch of the Web, and I'm looking forward to continuing this series as well as a bunch of other videos that are coming soon that I'm super excited about. I'm super grateful for those of you who are here and those of you just finding me now. Have a spooky night, and I'll see you next time.